Guess what time it is? Mama's story time. Yay! Hi my darlings. How are you today? It's lovely to see you. How have you been? I hope you've been having a lovely time. Mama's been having a great time. We've got a neat story today. You might have heard of it. It's called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Let's get started. Long ago there lived a kind princess named Snow White. Her wicked stepmother, the Queen, feared that someday Snow White's beauty would outshine her own. So she forced the princess to dress in rags and work like a servant. But nothing could spoil Snow White's sweet nature. Oh, she looks very nice, doesn't she? Each day, the Queen consulted her magic mirror. She always asked the same question. Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? And each day the mirror replied, you are the fairest one of all. But one morning the mirror said that Snow White was the most beautiful woman in all the land. The Queen flew into a jealous rage. Meanwhile, Snow White tended to her chores and sang a wish into a wishing well. She hoped that someday soon she would meet a prince and fall in love. Little did she know that a handsome prince had overheard her song. The prince fell in love with the princess instantly. Snow White was shy at first and fled back to the castle, but as the prince sang a love song, she began to fall in love too. The next morning, the jealous queen plotted against the princess. She ordered her royal huntsman to take Snow White far into the forest and bring back her heart in a box. The huntsman led the princess into the forest but could not bring himself to hurt her. He told Snow White to stay hidden in the forest, and he took an animal's heart back to the queen instead. Snow White wandered deep into the forest. She was scared, but some friendly forest animals led her to a little cottage. It's adorable, Snow White cried, just like a doll's house. She tried the door and it swung open. Hello, may I come in? Snow White called. Hello, but no one answered. Snow White stepped inside the cottage and saw 7 little chairs. She thought that 7 children must live there. And from the look of this table, 7 untidy little children, she said, holding up a rather smelly sock. We'll clean the house and surprise them, said Snow White. Maybe then they'll let me stay. So, with the help of her forest friends, Snow White dusted and cleaned the little cottage. Then she lay across 3 of the tiny beds and fell fast asleep. She's tired after all that cleaning. Evening came and the owners of the cottage made their way home. They were the 7 dwarfs who worked in the diamond mines deep in the heart of the mountain. Singing a jolly tune as they marched along, they had no idea of the surprise waiting for them. As soon as they entered the cottage, they knew something wasn't quite right. What's going on? Their home had been cleaned. The floor had been swept and there was a delicious smell coming from a pot on the fire. There's dirty work afoot, grumbled the dwarf, called Grumpy. The 7 dwarfs searched the cottage for an intruder. Do you think they'll find Snow White? They reached the bedroom just as Snow White was waking up. are you?" they asked. "My name is Snow White," said Snow White. Then she asked the little men who they were. The dwarfs told the princess their names, and she easily guessed who was who. They were called Doc, Happy, Sneezy, Sleepy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Dopey. Snow White introduced herself and told the dwarfs all about the evil queen. "Please don't send me away," she said. The dwarfs felt sorry for Snow White and they agreed to let her stay. That's so kind, isn't it? That evening the cottage was filled with music and laughter. After enjoying a delicious dinner cooked by Snow White, the dwarfs sang and danced to welcome the princess to their home. Snow White was so happy that she soon forgot all about her wicked stepmother. She's having a lovely time dancing. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the queen was standing in front of her magic mirror. She asked the question she always asked, but instead of answering as she expected, the mirror replied, "Snow White still lives, the fairest in the land." It's the heart of a pig you hold in your hands. The queen gasped in horror. The huntsman had tricked her. The queen stormed down a winding staircase and through a dark dungeon to a hidden room in the castle. There she found her book of magic spells and used a terrible potion to transform herself into an old woman. Next, she dipped an apple into a bubbling cauldron. "One taste of the poisoned apple and the victim's eyes will close forever. Ha 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 ha," she cackled. She's not very nice, is she? The only antidote to the queen's spell was love's first kiss. The next day, after the dwarfs had left for work, Snow White was visited by the disguised queen. The birds and forest animals watched in alarm as kind-hearted Snow White invited the old woman inside the cottage for a glass of water. They knew the princess was in terrible danger, so they raced to the mines to fetch the 7 dwarfs. The queen offered Snow White the poisoned apple. "It's a magic wishing apple," she lied. "Now take the apple, dearie, and make a wish." Snow White took the apple and thought of the handsome prince. I wish, she whispered. Snow White closed her eyes and took a single bite. A moment later, she fell to the floor. "Now I'll be the fairest in the land," the queen cried. As the queen left the cottage, the dwarfs arrived and chased after her. They followed her through the forest and up a mountain. Higher and higher the queen went until she came to a stop at the edge of a cliff. There was nowhere else to go. Crack! A bolt of lightning struck the ledge where the evil queen stood. The ledge crumbled and with a shriek, "Ah!" the queen fell, never to be seen again. Good. When the weary dwarfs returned to the cottage and found Snow White lying silent, they were heartbroken. Snow White was so beautiful even now that the dwarfs decided to make a bed of gold for her. Day and night, season after season, they watched over her. Oh, they love her, don't they? Then, one afternoon, a handsome young man came riding through the forest. He was the prince who had fallen in love with Snow White by the castle well. The handsome prince had searched far and wide for the princess he had met that fateful morning. When he came to the clearing where Snow White lay, he leaned over and kissed her. It was love's first kiss. With a soft sigh, Snow White sat up and rubbed her eyes. Oh. The prince shouted with joy and lifted her into his arms. The dwarfs danced and laughed, and the woods rang with calls from the happy forest animals. Snow White was awake. Before she left to begin her new life with the prince, Snow White kissed each of the 7 dwarfs goodbye and promised to visit them soon. Lifting her onto his horse, the prince led Snow White to his castle, where they would live happily ever after. Oh, that's such a nice story. Did you like that one? Oh, I really liked that one. Snow White was so kind, wasn't she? It's nice to be kind, isn't it? Much nicer to be kind than to be nasty. Okay, my darlings, we've got some cool videos today. Mama and David and Sarah went down to Ringrose Stockfoods, that's where we get our chicken food, and we went and saw Yvette and we met Lou. And Lou showed us around the factory. It was so much fun. There was so many machines. I'm going to show you that right now. Where are we going, Sarah and David?
We're going to do our chicken food.
Here we are at Ringrose Stockfoods to get our chicken food. In we go.
Hi guys.
Hi Yvette.
Do you want a bikkie? Yeah, come here.
Have to put on a special jacket. Only special people go in there. Wow, look at the big machines. Lots of bags of chook food there. Look how high they are. It's loud. Look at this machine. This is how it makes the chook food. Look, there's the little pellets. Chickens love chook food. Look at this special machine. Lou puts the food in the bags and then he puts it in what looks like a sewing machine. It sews the top of the bag. It goes on the machine, pushes it over. Look at the big claws that grab it. Wow, that's cool. What are we going to see out here? Wow, look at all the bags of chook food there. So many. Oh, what's in here? A big truck. Wow. Do you think you'd like to go up there, David? Wave. Thanks, Lou. It's been great. Wow, wasn't that cool? Did you see the big machines? Did you see the big sewing machine that sewed up the bags? Man, that was fun. Now I've got something special for you too. I've got 3 of my little darlings that I want to introduce to you. They live in Australia and their names are AJ, Michael and Angelo. We're going to see what they get up to over in Australia right now.
Whenever people want AirPods, a plane can just go to the house and...
Oh, I hope that's real. I'd like some new AirPods. Your name? A-N-G-E-L-O spells. You're making little chips out of a candle, and we're going to make a new candle, aren't we?
Yeah,
For your nana. That's very exciting, Michael. And we're going to make it smell like rosemary.
And my brother's gonna do
Her favourite smell.
Well, my darlings, did you like those videos? We've had so much fun and it's lovely to meet new friends. It's so nice to meet AJ and Michael and Angelo, wasn't it? Yeah? Okay, my darlings, enjoy yourselves till I see you again. And remember, be good for Mum and Dad and what? Kind to each other. I love you, my darlings. See you soon. Mwah, bye.